So I think that the way we approach content and can drastically change our lives. I think that the rise of the internet and with social media has completely changed how people engage with each other and how people spend their time, right? I feel like before, we had smartphones, before we had, TV or a lot of these electronics and devices that we have now, I think most people used to engage by talking to each other, having a conversation, having a lot of hobbies, and trying in something new. I think there was a lot of reason, and a lot more people were doing that. Um, but for this video, I want to talk about how we've become a generation of people that are addicted to consuming, right? And how we are becoming less and less of creators, right? There's the dynamic between consuming content and creating content, right? Now, first off, we have to ask ourselves, what is content? Well, content is an extremely broad spectrum of things, right? Content can be things like, TV shows, it can be like movies, but it can also be like social media posts, it can be Instagram reels, it can be TikTok videos, it can be video games, it can be Twitter posts, it can be almost anything that's shared online that we can consume, that we can share. It's like almost like information that's being posted everywhere. And how does it apply to everything we do? I feel like because people are addicted to their phones more now than ever, a lot of that time is spent like consuming content, right? It's not being used in a productive way. So like, most people, what do they do for fun, right? Like, what do they do to relax or, wind down, right? They'll probably watch some TV, right? They'll probably play video games, or a lot of us, I'm talking about you Gen Zers, my generation, we love to like doom scroll, right? I think that's where the term comes from, doom scrolling. It means when you have your phone and you're just scrolling through your feed, right? That's how a lot of us like kind of entertain ourselves for fun. And it gets to the point where if you're constantly consuming things, right? See, nobody really talks about this, but I feel like when I'm consuming something, it's to the point where I lose the ability to consciously think about things, right? Like, I don't know if you guys relate to this at all or not, but on a long enough time, right? Like maybe the first time you started scrolling, it wasn't really that bad. Your brain wasn't really used to it. It was kind of new. Like think about the first time you ever like doom scrolled on like TikTok or something. And then compare that to like, months in the future, years in the future, when you kept on going and you kept on scrolling, right? And how did it change your brain? You got used to consuming things, right? Your attention span got a lot shorter and your ability to like, you know, be fine with things in life got a lot worse. That's why I feel like, most of like regular life is just very gray, very dull because our feeds are designed by like the best psychologists and the best engineers to make it as addictive as possible. You know what I mean? Like everything we see now on the internet is meant to be as engaging, as stimulating as possible. And to gain your attention, the viewer, right? You're the consumer, you're the product that social media sells, and they are trying to make their product as addictive as possible, right? So no wonder when you're not using it, the rest of your days feel so dull, right? It's almost like embarrassing to almost have a conversation with a stranger. It's almost rare now for people to really open up about them feelings and open up about their feelings in person when it's a lot easier and more convenient for them to do it on the internet. Like I think there's a very slow, gradual shift that happens when people engage with technology a lot more than they engage in real life. Now you see, when I say that, it can either be used for a bad thing or a good thing, right? But most of the time, like in this case, it's for a bad reason, right? Because consuming has ruined an entire generation of people. Now, as dramatic as that may sound, let me elaborate, right? Think about something that you love so much, right? Or something that's just fun, right? Any part of life can now be recorded on a video and posted online. Think about that. Think about how easy it is for, someone to record themselves in a completely different country, in a completely different part of the world, of themselves doing something, right? You guys have probably heard of Mr. Beast, right? The most subscribed channel on YouTube. Think about all these other creators online that have a channel, that have over 2 million subscribers. They're all posting about what they're doing, right? They're, looking at the internet. They're watching cringy TikTok videos. They're watching try not to laugh videos. They're doing challenges. They're out here doing trends. They're pulling up to the basketball game. Also sports, another big thing that's been ruined by social media, I think. Um, it's honestly ruined people because what it's done is that it's made people so used to consuming things online that like every part of life needs to be recorded. Every part of and every aspect of how we live our day to day can be shared, can be posted, can be you know what I mean? Like you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like it's honestly just kind of ruined everything. Um, and obviously, I've been through a lot of these distractions. As a young man, it's our responsibility to do better. And I think a lot of young men are kind of failing in being as disciplined as they can, right? Because the distractions are endless. We have video games, we have like the most stimulating video games, we have virtual reality, we have TV, and you can watch hundreds of thousands of TV shows and movies and binge watch and be a chud. There's social media too, and I feel like a phone addiction is a lot worse than like being addicted to like TV or something. And the reason I say that is because your phone is something you carry in your pocket with you all the time. You know what I'm saying? So if you carry something with you in your pocket all the time, you can easily just pull it out and stimulate yourself, right? At any moment's given notice. At any moment's notice, you can stimulate yourself for as long as you want, right? And there's regulation, right? But like you can honestly spend as much time as you want on these apps. Nobody's telling you how much time you should spend versus how much time you shouldn't spend. So yeah, I feel like consuming all of this stuff has ruined people's ability to focus. It's ruined their attention and awareness, and it's made a lot of us short-minded, right? Now, why are these problems? The things I just listed, why are these, problematic? Because think about it, bro. Because think about it. If you train yourself to be stimulated every 5 to 10 seconds, how can you focus on anything in life? Like really think about it. Like if there's something you really wanted to do, if there's something you wanted to work towards, right? Like you wanted to get a bigger body, you wanted to go to the gym, you wanted to work on a goal, you wanted to pursue something you're passionate about, you want to learn something. Those things take time, bro. Those things take time and they take focus, right? So if you can't even get yourself to focus for like 5 minutes, not even like there's people out here that can't even focus for 5 minutes. That can't even like I'm not shitting you, bro. There's probably people that can't even watch this video without scrolling to the comments, without checking their notifications because they need to be they're constantly trained to be distracted, right? So yeah, think about everything you do. Every time you go on the internet, are you consuming or are you creating? Right? Like that's what you need to ask yourself. So if you start creating content versus consuming content, can it change your life? Well, personally, I think it can. And the reason it can change your life is because you stop going through life as a person that's just consuming all these things, right? Because like I said earlier, like when you're consuming, you're just taking all this information and putting it in your brain, right? It's like garbage in, garbage out. You know what I mean? So that's what it's doing to your brain subconsciously. But if you learn to create things, if you learn to, generate ideas, if you learn to be creative and you can, put stuff out there on the internet, that's actually good because just as long as it's not like brain rotted or degenerate, but creating something that can get you results, right? And I feel like we need a lot more people that are creators in life than consumers. And this doesn't just apply to content. This almost applies to anything else in life, right? If you want to like stop consuming a TV all the time, and if you love TV, go ahead and make something. Like make a show, make a TV or show or something, right? The world is literally your oyster and you can do whatever you want. Just as long as you change your mindset from instead of consuming all the time to creating all the time, right? Now, how can you go about consuming less? I think that's the biggest thing people, struggle a lot with is, like, how do I consume less? How can I get myself to consume less content, right? And I want to be honest, if you consuming isn't all that bad, but it depends what you consume, right? Like most people are consuming slop. That's just genuine fact. A lot of the things that we consume are like performative, right? They're just like stupid trends. They're also just videos that make no sense. I think the right term for that is called brain rot. I think brain rot is like the best way to describe it. It's basically a video that has no inherent message. It has like no meaning, but it's literally just there to be. It's just so stupid. It's just there to like rot your brain. I think that's what it is. That's why it's called brain rot. Because it's like, for example, like these little kids with like the 6'7" or whatever, right? Of course, that trend has died out a while ago, but that's an example of brain rot, right? It's basically it has no meaning, it makes no sense, but it's something we as a society have glorified, and everyone just started doing it. I don't know how, but everyone just started doing it. So that's one example. So like to consume less, you should be aware, right? How much time are you spending on these apps? And I feel like you really need to delete those apps. Take more take more initiative, and just add some blockers on your laptop, add some blockers on your phone. Make it hard for you to actually pick up your phone, right? Because your phone is also taking away a lot of your time. It's taking away a lot of your time because most people that look at their phone are spending hours every single day looking at a screen. And like obviously in one day that's not horrible, right? Like that's not horrible. But imagine if you do this every single day, 3 hours a day, every single day for, a week, and then a week becomes a month. You see what I'm saying? Like you do this again and again and again and again, right? And then you realize and you look back, you wasted hundreds of hours just looking at slop, right? And most of the time when you consume these things, you really don't change, right? Like if you're consuming them just for entertainment, you're not consuming them and you're not becoming, a different person. You haven't changed in the past month or so, right? So to consume less, I would say be more attentional, be more intentional, because you need to understand how dopamine works. I feel like most people don't understand what's happening when they're consuming more. And also, like, I used to be a victim of porn addiction when I was younger. When I was about, 11 years old, I first heard about Pornhub, or the black and orange, you guys can call it that. And again, I don't want this video to be monetized. I don't care, right? If I'm saying it, but still, like, the black and orange, I'm pretty sure all of us have heard about it or stumbled upon it when we were younger. You know what I mean? But I really got into it when I was younger. I was watching videos and, just I was just watching videos and it was really stimulating, and I'd never seen anything like that in my life. And even this year I am guilty of watching those things, right? And I've been trying to watch it less and less, right? But my point is, consuming things are so easy nowadays. They're so convenient, even if they're bad for you. And modern society has glorified that for so many people, right? They tell them, yo, consume the trends, eat the slop, right? Like that's what they tell you because, a lot of these degenerate things, it drives user engagement online. It's very popular for people to talk about, to post, to share, to like, all these things, right? So you have to understand instant gratification versus delayed gratification. Instant being you want the thing right now. Delayed gratification meaning you want the thing later, not now, right? You delay being happy so you can be successful like in the future. That's kind of what it is. And yeah, I really think that's important. And getting out of your comfort zone is also another thing, right? Because the thing with consuming content is you're always comfortable. You know what I'm saying? You're always comfortable. There's always things to consume. There's always knowledge out there in the world. You know what I mean? So if you're always, consuming things, you're always comfortable. You never change as a person. So learning to create content is you expanding your comfort zone, right? I just realized this today because it's been a while again since I made videos, and I feel like with this channel and with my online business, I'm getting outside of my comfort zone, right? I feel like a couple of months before, I never even thought about making a business. Now I'm working on it every day, right? I want to be as consistent as possible, and I want to get a better life, and I feel like for not just me, but a lot of you guys watching, if you really want something, you got to go get it. Like I don't think the opportunities will just come to you. But again, that's another video for later. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.